I'm going to say this as clearly as I can because we're in a moment that demands leadership, especially at home. Government gridlock, culture shouting past itself, the news, the noise, and the non-stop pressure. None of that is really new, but it is a wake-up call because we've been told that leadership is about titles, positions, or having followers. But the truth is, it's all about example. How you lead yourself sets the tone for everyone around you. And every day, someone's learning how to lead by watching you. And there is so much uncertainty right now. And that really hit me hard recently. I looked and I look around and places where we had leaders, I don't see leaders. I started asking myself questions. I started researching the words I didn't understand, the situations that I was really not familiar with. And I really made a decision to educate myself. And I chose to go back to the Constitution, back to the roots of how this country was built, back to presidents and leaders who created real change in crisis. And I studied what they did and who they had to be to do it in the moment that they had to do it. And here's what they all had in common. So first, they had a vision that outlived them. They actually were looking beyond the moment that they're in. They had a vision that was anchored in purpose, not popularity. And they were not acting for the today, the polls or whatever, the views. They were acting for the future. They also had moral courage. They made decisions that actually cost them politically, personally, and sometimes even physically, because they were willing to stand alone for what was right and not what was easy. And they were also able to have clarity inside amidst the chaos because they didn't wait for things to calm down. They didn't wait for someone else to step up. They didn't wait for everyone to agree with them. They just created it. They had composure under pressure, that even when all those people with differences of opinions were in their ears telling them what they should be doing, they slowed it down for themselves when everyone else was telling them to speed up. You have to do this, you have to do that. They slowed it down and made sure that they were clear on what they wanted to achieve. They also were connected to people. They spoke to people. They didn't talk at them. They listened. And they had that emotional intelligence where they were able to actually lead with empathy and not their ego. They were able to stand and see the perspective of the person that they were going to impact. They also were able to be strategically adaptable because the presidents that I looked at, and I'll go into more detail on each of these with the presidents and how it came up, but there was actually no rule book for their crisis. So we're talking about George Washington at the beginning of the nation, Abraham Lincoln when it was all about to fall apart, FDR in the midst of a Great Depression, like all these moments that were moments for a new country. They didn't have a rule book. No one had ever experienced it before. And so they had flexibility without losing the focus of the thing. And they learned to adapt the plan, not the principle. They were adapting how they got to the thing, not what the thing was, like they wanted and what they knew they stood for. And then this is one I feel like it's so missed so much. And it's actually resilience through failing. The greatest presidents, and I stuck with presidents because that's the moment that we're in, but the greatest presidents failed so much. The greatest presidents, they were tested and sometimes they broke and sometimes they weren't the best at taking the failure. But what was different is it didn't stop them. And they used the experience of that failure to get back up and do something different. It wasn't the end of them. It was a tool that adapted them for the moment. And lastly, they had their identity before the action. So they knew who they were, and then their choices followed. They understood what their values were, and they had confidence in that clarity, and they weren't trying to control things they couldn't control. They knew that this was their decision, their legacy, and it came from what mattered to them and what they told people. And so the common thread amongst all of these different situations is they had to lead themselves before they could lead anyone else. That we lead ourselves first. So if you've ever felt like what you do doesn't matter, listen to me very closely. It does. And it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're a kid, what you do matters. It impacts your parents, it impacts your family. If you're single, you still have family. You still have other people in your world that you impact. And moms, you're not just a mom. You are actually a leader shaping the next generation, right? We are shaping the next generation. We have influence on the next generation of leaders. And it all starts with deciding just to do something different. Choose where you want to start. Where can you start? What are your gifts? How can you be the influence? How can you do that? Because it is us. It is us choosing to step up and to lead ourselves that's going to make all the difference. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to impress upon you the importance of making choices, because your choices matter. And if you're not sure, if this resonated with you and you really are not sure where to start, that's what we do. That's how we help. And you can click the link and book a call and have a conversation, and we'll help you get some clarity and go from there. Because the world doesn't just need more leaders. It needs mothers who see themselves as one. It needs professionals that see themselves as a leader, not because of their title, because other people told them. It's because you know that you can lead yourself. And by leading yourself, you're teaching everyone else how to be a leader. So train hard, lead strong, and go live fearlessly.